When a dog returns home with its tail tucked low after being scolded, many people instinctively interpret this behavior as an expression of guilt. The image is familiar: lowered head, ears flattened, eyes averted, and a slow, hesitant gait. It feels as though the dog knows it has done something wrong. However, a closer look at canine behavior reveals a more nuanced and scientifically grounded explanation. Rather than reflecting moral awareness or guilt in the human sense, this posture is primarily a response rooted in fear, stress, social communication, and learned associations. To begin with, the tucked tail is one of the most recognizable signals in canine body language. Dogs use their tails as a complex communication tool, capable of expressing a wide range of emotional states. When a dog holds its tail high and wagging loosely, it often indicates excitement or confidence. In contrast, a tail tucked between the legs is typically associated with anxiety, submission, or fear. This posture serves as a protective and communicative mechanism. Physically, tucking the tail helps shield vulnerable areas of the body. Socially, it signals to others, whether humans or other animals, that the dog is not a threat and wishes to avoid confrontation. When a dog has been scolded, especially in a harsh or unpredictable manner, it experiences a surge of stress. Dogs are highly sensitive to tone of voice, facial expressions, and body posture. A raised voice, stern facial expression, or sudden movements can be perceived as threatening. In response, the dog adopts submissive signals, including the tucked tail, to de-escalate the situation. This is not an admission of wrongdoing, but rather an instinctive attempt to restore safety and harmony. Another important factor is associative learning. Dogs learn through patterns and consequences. If a dog engages in a behavior, such as chewing furniture or making a mess, and is later scolded upon the owner's return, it does not necessarily connect the punishment with the past action. Instead, it associates the owner's current emotional state with its own behavior in that moment. Over time, the dog may learn that certain environmental cues, like the owner entering the house, noticing a mess, or using a particular tone, predict a negative reaction. As a result, the dog begins to display submissive behaviors preemptively, even before being scolded. This explains why a dog might appear guilty even when it has done nothing wrong. Studies in animal behavior have shown that dogs often display these so-called guilt signals in response to the owner's demeanor rather than their own actions. If an owner assumes the dog misbehaved and approaches it with suspicion or frustration, the dog may respond with a tucked tail and other submissive cues, regardless of whether it actually committed the act. In essence, the dog is reacting to the human's emotional signals, not reflecting on its own past behavior. It is also important to consider the role of social hierarchy and evolutionary history. Dogs, as descendants of wolves, are social animals that evolved in structured groups. Within these groups, maintaining harmony is crucial for survival. Submissive behaviors, such as tail tucking, evolved as a way to avoid conflict and signal deference to more dominant individuals. In a domestic setting, humans often occupy a position of authority in the dog's perception. When a dog senses displeasure from its owner, it may instinctively adopt submissive postures to reduce tension and prevent escalation. Emotional memory further reinforces this pattern. Dogs may not reflect on past actions in a moral sense, but they do remember emotional experiences. If being scolded has previously led to fear or discomfort, the dog may anticipate similar outcomes in comparable situations. Returning home after being reprimanded earlier, or even entering an environment associated with punishment, can trigger these emotional memories. The tucked tail, therefore, becomes part of a conditioned emotional response, a way of coping with anticipated stress. Additionally, individual temperament plays a significant role. Some dogs are naturally more sensitive or anxious than others. These dogs may be more prone to displaying submissive behaviors, including tail tucking, especially in response to negative stimuli. Factors such as breed tendencies, early socialization, past trauma, and the consistency of training all influence how a dog reacts to scolding. A dog that has experienced inconsistent or overly harsh discipline may be particularly quick to adopt fear-based responses. It is also worth noting that the human tendency to interpret this behavior as guilt reflects our own cognitive biases. Humans are inclined to anthropomorphize animals, attributing human emotions and moral reasoning to them. While dogs are highly intelligent and emotionally perceptive, their understanding of right and wrong does not align with human moral frameworks. What appears to us as guilt is, in reality, a combination of fear, appeasement, and learned behavior. Understanding this distinction has important implications for how we interact with and train dogs. Punishment-based approaches, especially when delayed or inconsistent, can lead to confusion and anxiety rather than learning. A dog that is repeatedly scolded without clear, immediate feedback may become increasingly fearful, leading to more frequent displays of submissive behavior. Over time, this can erode trust and negatively impact the human-animal bond. In contrast, positive reinforcement and clear communication are far more effective in shaping behavior. By rewarding desired actions and redirecting unwanted ones, owners can help dogs learn in a way that minimizes stress and promotes confidence. When a dog feels safe and understood, it is less likely to exhibit fear-based behaviors such as tail tucking. In conclusion, when a dog tucks its tail after being scolded, it is not expressing guilt in the human sense, but responding to perceived threat, stress, and learned associations. This behavior is deeply rooted in canine communication, evolutionary history, and emotional conditioning. Recognizing this allows us to interpret our dog's actions more accurately and respond with empathy and effective training methods. Rather than seeing a guilty dog, we should see an animal trying to navigate a complex emotional environment, one that depends heavily on our ability to guide it with patience, consistency, and understanding.